This is 7 News Adelaide with Gertie Spurling.
Good afternoon. A northern suburbs families told of their terror as a fast-moving grass fire came within metres of destroying their Penfield home.
Obviously panic took over then, and by the time that I'd got back to the house, it was already over the fence into our property, wind quite strong.
I couldn't believe it. It was just devastating.
The family was taken to hospital suffering smoke inhalation. Investigators today returned to the scene at a neighbouring property. 2 men in their 30s have been charged over the blaze, allegedly started by an angle grinder. We'll have more on this story in our main bulletin at 6. The state opposition's calling for tougher laws on machetes to curb the escalating violence on our suburban streets. As Mitchell Sariovsky reports, the Liberals are suggesting an amnesty to cull the potentially dangerous weapons.
The government's being accused of turning its back on South Australia's escalating youth crime. This shocking Rundle Mall attack just 3 days ago is the latest in a series of violence sweeping the state. The opposition's calling for tougher laws on machetes, making it illegal to manufacture, sell, possess or supply the potential weapon.
It makes no sense that someone can go out and buy one of these weapons at the moment without any exemptions.
It's now clear that Labor has lost control on law and order on our streets and in our suburbs.
If you carry a machete in public, you can face criminal sanctions. We have already seen someone arrested for this, and you can get up to 2 years jail or a $10,000 fine. So Vincent Taza and his team really are woefully inexperienced.
In a separate move to curb knife crime involving teenagers, the government will soon introduce laws to ban the sale of knives to anyone under the age of 18. The Liberals believe the reform should include a statewide amnesty on machetes.
As part of our review on knife crime, there have been proposals put forward to look at other things that can be prohibited weapons, and that's exactly what we're getting on with doing.
A similar amnesty is now underway in the UK. The government there took urgent action after more than 50,000 knife attacks in the past year.
Relief is on the way for Australian students, with Anthony Albanese promising to cut tertiary debts by 20% if re-elected. The PM making the announcement in Adelaide. Paul Caddock has the details.
Well, we might be several months away from the federal election, but the Prime Minister was very much in campaign mode today, making a big pitch on Labor's record and promising a big cut in student debt. Anthony Albanese was in Adelaide before a crowd of the party faithful and behind a new slogan.
This is a time for building better education for all, building more homes for Australians, building the cleaner and cheaper energy to cut our emissions.
Centrepiece of today's event, a pledge to wipe a chunk of student debt owed by around 3 million Australians worth $16 billion.
A re-elected Labor government will take 20% off student debt for everyone who has one.
For someone with the average student debt of more than $27,000, it would mean a saving of around $5,500. This has been a key issue for the Greens, who argue it should be cut now.
Student debt relief should not be dangled as a carrot or held hostage to the result of the next election.
This is simply a cash splash from Anthony Albanese, an attempt at trying to con or hoodwink an electorate ahead of an election.
The PM also committing to funding 100,000 fee-free TAFE places every year from 2027. Today's speech expected to be the first in a series of rallies in coming weeks and months as Labor outlines its case for a second term.
A ferocious fire has claimed the life of a man in Melbourne. His weatherboard home went up in flames in minutes, threatening other properties. Sarah Jane Bell has the story.
Fanned by strong winds, the fatal fire at this weatherboard home here in St Albans gathered intensity within minutes. It was neighbours who first called emergency services after being woken by the strong smell of smoke at 2:40 on Sunday morning.
Oh my God.
Firefighters aggressively attacked the blaze on Power Street, but sadly, once inside, found one person had died. Neighbours believe it was a man from Nepal who rented the house with at least 2 others. They weren't home at the time.
He was living here for a long time. I know him from last 2 years. We used to have some couple of drinks and we used to celebrate our festivals together.
The fire threatened homes on either side, breaking windows and causing smoke damage to a 3-storey apartment building and another house, with those residents evacuated.
The house is like really very bad fire, and we thought it may come to our house as well, and we feel very scared. I was just shaking.
It took 50 minutes for the inferno to be brought under control. Arson chemists are investigating the cause of the blaze, and police are working to formally identify the victim.
More than 70 million Americans have already voted in the US election, but both presidential nominees have made a last-minute push to sway the undecided. Tim Lester reports from North Carolina.
He's the only living US president who has not yet backed a candidate in this election campaign. George W. Bush. He served from 2001 until Barack Obama's election. He said so far he doesn't intend to back a candidate, but some Republicans who backed Kamala Harris say he needs to do the same.
I can't explain why George W. Bush hasn't spoken out, but I think it's time, and I wish that he would.
This is the Democrats paraded yet another celebrity endorsement for Kamala Harris, rock star John Bon Jovi.
And I am very proud to be here today in support of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to be the very next president and vice president of these United States of America.
More than 70 million Americans have already voted in this election. That's of an expected total of between 150 and 160 million. Hundreds lining up here in Greensboro, North Carolina to see Donald Trump.
The mood is for Trump. I don't see any mood for Harris.
I like that he speaks his mind, and he's a God-fearing man, and I can see the Lord working through him.
Well, the bottom line is we're tired of high prices, high inflation. You know, we want somebody to make a change like it was 4 years ago prior to this administration.
Of the 7 battleground states where the 2 candidates are focusing most of their attention, Donald Trump is spending more time here in North Carolina as the campaign closes.
Hello, North Carolina. This is going to happen. I predict, let's make a prediction. This will happen on Tuesday, I think, right? This will happen on Tuesday.
Current polling suggests this election will finish as the closest in memory. The last votes are to be cast mid this coming week.
10,000 more soldiers and police have been sent to help flood-hit areas of Spain. More than 200 people have died, most of whom lived in the Valencia region, and the search continues to find the missing. Ben Downey went inside the disaster zone.
Well, this is a traditional Valencian home in every sense of the word. Inside the disaster zone, it's emblematic what has transpired here. Come for a walk and we'll show you what's in here now. These entire tall ceilings. This home was actually built by the people who lived here, the occupants. Now, I've come through to the kitchen. So this is the heart of any home, but it is especially here in Catarroja in Valencia more than anywhere else because it's the birthplace of paella. Now, in generations gone by, families would sit around on this timber furniture that was also made by the occupants and share with loved ones and neighbours. If you look at a pan like this is originally what they would have used and cooked on these old kilns and everything. Now that family, it's spread out across the world to all corners of the globe, including Australia and in Queensland. Now many of those family members have come back here again, this time not to eat paella and help out clean. They're actually going to help out and clean up this mess. Now, at the time, the occupant of this home was the 94-year-old grandmother, the wife of the person who built this property. She's still alive, but suffers from severe dementia. It was only her and her carer who were here at the time. And for 24 hours, the family members had no idea if she was even alive. Finally, they were able to make it here and be reunited with her alive, safe and well. But for that story of survival, so many other things have been lost. Possessions, multiple lifetimes of memories, mementos of their family members no longer with us, sadly lost.
New video has been released of one of China's giant pandas soon to call Adelaide home. Xingqiu, who arrived later this year, was captured on China's central television enjoying a bamboo snack. He'll be accompanied by Yilan, a 3-year-old female. Our outgoing pandas, Wangwan and Funi, are still in quarantine at Adelaide Zoo ahead of their return trip home to China, and there's still time to catch them before they leave. One of Adelaide's most popular shopping and dining strips introduces 24/7 booze ban. Local traders say it's about time. The details next. Also ahead, dozens of South Australian homes to soon have access to ultra-fast internet. Disappointment for Leighton and Beck Hewitt. Their glam mansion fails to attract a single bidder. And Sydney transformed into Munchkin Land for Wicked's world premiere.
On 7 News, Black Friday warning.
There are a lot of flashing lights, a lot of reasons to overspend.
How to spot the traps and avoid racking up debt.
We do find people getting into strife.
Why experts say cash is king.
It definitely would stop overspending.
A special 7 News report tonight.
The entire length of Glenelg's Gertie Road is now a permanent dry zone, and anyone caught with alcohol could cop a fine of up to $250. In the past, restrictions were only enforced during New Year's Eve, but complaints from Glenelg residents and local businesses have forced authorities to act. NBN is expanding its services to 145,000 homes and businesses across the country. Almost 400 suburbs and towns will be able to access the network, with fibre upgrades to be complete by the end of the year. At 6, we'll tell you which parts of SA have been added to the NBN's growing list. Leighton and Beck Hewitt's glamorous multi-million-dollar retreat was set to go under the hammer today, but as Paige Van Lunteren reports, it wasn't the result they'd hoped for, with not a single person registering to bid.
It's been described as the home that broke the internet, with dozens of people turning out to inspect this multi-million-dollar property here in Burleigh Beach today. But in a twist, the home was passed in at auction with no one registering to bid.
We won't be opening the bidding up today. Quite simply, we're going to move to post-auction negotiations with those parties.
Tennis legend Leighton Hewitt and his actress wife Beck bought the 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home in 2021 for just over $4.3 million. They decided to relist it around a month ago, saying the family doesn't get enough time to enjoy it.
They love the area, love the home, but what's happened is they're travelling with their children.
The Palm Springs-inspired home is just 400 metres walk from the famous Burleigh Beach here on the Gold Coast. Some property experts had estimated it would sell for close to $6 million today.
It's been the most viewed home in Queensland on realestate.com and second most in Australia. A lot of the interest has come from interstate.
But the outcome isn't quite the grand slam the famous owners were hoping for.
I wish I could, but no. I don't earn enough money, unfortunately. I wish. I think I'd be outbid.
The agent says they're still working with at least 3 serious buyers.
A brood of ducklings found themselves in a bit of trouble today after taking a tumble down a stormwater drain in Mount Barker. Local residents heard their chirps for help and alerted MFS crews. Firefighters quickly lowered a bucket for the tiny troublemakers to crawl inside before they were gently lifted to safety. All ducklings were happily reunited with mum, waddling off on their next adventure. Based in the land of Oz, it seems only fitting that Australian viewers are chosen as the first to see the highly anticipated film Wicked. Leading ladies Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are set to walk the yellow brick road in Sydney for the world premiere. Angelique Opie is there.
Casting its spell on Sydney, Wicked the film has turned part of the CBD into Munchkin Land.
It's all the magic of 10,000 tulips, hours of preparation and star power. Lead Ariana Grande is the pop superstar who plays Glinda the Good Witch. She will be catching up with us soon.
You can room with Miss Glinda.
Wicked is the story of an unlikely friendship formed between Good Witch Glinda and Bad Witch Elphaba. No coincidence that Sydney was chosen as the cast's first stop on the global press tour to promote a story about the Land of Oz. This morning, 7 News spoke to some very dedicated fans.
I got here at like 8 a.m, I guess, yesterday. Over 24 hours, probably 27 hours now. No sleep, haven't slept yet.
I've gone neon green for my favourite musical, and I hope work doesn't mind.
We're here from Melbourne, just got engaged and hoping to invite Ariana Grande to our wedding.
I know about popular.
There are two parts to the Wicked story. The first hit cinemas on November 21.
Australian actor Margot Robbie has become a mum. The star reportedly gave birth to a baby boy 2 weeks ago. It's believed the 34-year-old went into labour before her due date, and her husband Tom Ackley has been seen stocking up on baby supplies near their LA home. Onlookers were taken back in time in Prague as enthusiasts of the vintage penny farthing bicycle showcased their skills. Adorned in historical attire, the cyclists participated in formation rides synchronised to music and competed in races that tested both speed and balance. Event organisers say the first bicycle ride in the Czech Republic dates back to 1868. Still to come on 7 News, sport with ABBA as South Aussie skipper Nathan McSweeney comes up with a match-winning knock. But is it enough to make the Test side? And 2 goals in just his second game for the Reds hands United its first win of the season.
Exclusive pictures of the moment a police officer's gun was grabbed during a violent attack. 7 News. Unstoppable.
Good afternoon. South Australian skipper Nathan McSweeney says he's ready for Test cricket after an unbeaten 88 against India A. As Australia searches for an opening batsman, McSweeney helped guide us to a 7-wicket win in Mackay.
Real confident in my game, and I think I'm progressing and I'm batting some of the best innings I've played, and hopefully I can continue to learn and get better, and if the opportunity comes, I feel like I'm ready. If it doesn't, I'll keep working hard and hoping that one day I get that call up.
McSweeney will get another chance to all but lock up a spot when the sides meet again on Wednesday. In the WBBL, the Strikers' tough start to the season has continued after a heartbreaking loss to the Renegades. Adelaide set Melbourne 158 to win, and they needed 2 runs off the last ball.
Nick Fulton, what can you do? She gets it through the field for 1. They'll come back for the 2nd. She's going to get there. The Renegades have won it.
Next up, the Heat at the Gabba on Saturday night. Adelaide 36ers coach Mike Wells will use a long layoff in between games to re-energise his group after a disappointing loss to the Breakers. The Sixers were never in the contest against New Zealand, going down by a whopping 27 points in Auckland.
We have time this week to play and regenerate the group a little bit and see if we can come out with the appropriate energy and defend our home court.
Their next game is at home on Sunday against the Hawks. Adelaide United has won its first game of the season, beating Western Sydney 4-3. In a 7-goal thriller in Sydney last night, the Reds dominated the first half and led 3-1 at the break, and despite a few lapses of concentration in the second half, did enough to earn all 3 points.
Always good to get a good win away from home, especially a difficult place. They will take good belief in that. Important for them to enjoy that.
Adelaide hosts Western United on Saturday night. Manchester City fell off the top of the Premier League ladder, beaten 2-1 by Bournemouth. It's City's first league defeat since last December. Title rivals Liverpool came from behind to beat Brighton 2-1 and take over top spot.
It's Salah! He's been quiet today, but he's just come alive.
Kiwi veteran Chris Wood's 8th goal of the season helped Nottingham Forest into 3rd, 3-0 over West Ham. Arsenal lost 1-0 to Newcastle United, now 3 league games without a win. The International Raiders are hoping to steal the spotlight in Tuesday's Melbourne Cup. Trainer Harry Eustace will saddle up Sea King, looking to follow in the footsteps of his brother David, who trained 2022 winner Gold Trip.
Winning it isn't something we've sort of let ourselves consider just yet, but as I say, it's a huge race to be a part of.
Star jockey Jamie Carr, who won the Derby yesterday, will ride Okita Sushi in the Cup before serving a careless riding suspension. I reckon you wouldn't care about a careless riding suspension if you won the Derby. Don't worry about that. But we'll have plenty more in our main bulletin at 6:30. It's going to be a huge week of horse racing, of course. The Melbourne Cup Carnival. Stand by. No one does anything Tuesday. No one backs a winner either, so.
Well, she'll be caring even less if she wins the Melbourne Cup too, Jamie Carr.
Give me more suspensions, please.
Thanks, Bruce. We'll see you at 6. And stay with us. I'll have all the weekday weather details coming up next.
Hello Australia, this week on Sunrise, the most important election of our lifetime.
Join me live at the White House for this historic moment in US presidential history.
As votes are counted and results come in, the impact to Australia and the world. Plus, Defying Gravity with the entire cast of Wicked. The stars are in Australia and on Sunrise. And the Duchess of York Down Under.
Fergie's here at Brekkie Central with the big announcement.
Start with Sunrise.
Mike Smithson has our main bulletin at 6. And Smitho, what have you got?
Well, Gertie, yesterday's hot, windy afternoon was just a taste of what's to come. We hear from the family caught up in a grass fire with one woman still in hospital. Was the Prime Minister's bells and whistles announcement in Adelaide today all it's cracked up to be? A much-loved veteran comes out of retirement for a big race, how you can get on board. And the upcoming Black Friday sales, credit cards can be dangerous, so is cash still king? Gert, you've done this story. It'll be a big one. The money's burning a hole in your pocket, but we'll show you at 6.
Thank you, Smitho. Yeah, tips on how not to get caught out during those festive sales coming up. Thank you. In a surprise campaign stop, Kamala Harris has appeared on Saturday Night Live, the US Vice President performing a skit alongside her resident impersonator, Maya Rudolph.
Kick back in our pajamas and watch a rom Kamala. Like Legally Blondula. And start decorating for Christmas. Fa la 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 la. Because what do we always say? Keep Kamala and carry on a la.
Kamala Harris has previously expressed admiration for Maya Rudolph's sketches of her. To the weather now, and it was a mild day across much of the state. In the city, after a low of 16 degrees, we hit a top of 22 around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Right now, it's 19. Around the country, a cold front's passing over Victoria and inland parts of New South Wales. Still a mostly sunny afternoon in Sydney, currently 24 degrees there. Mild in Melbourne, just 18 at the moment. There's been some light showers over in Brisbane. Sunny in Perth, though, sitting on 21. And looking cool in Hobart, right now just 16 degrees there. A trough is pushing over our state's north while a high pressure system's moving towards the south, and that'll drive the temperature up in the coming days. Isolated showers and thunderstorms are possible about the state's far north. A partly cloudy day for most. 37's the top for Maree and Coober Pedy. 35's the top for Roxby. Sunny and 29 degrees for Port Augusta. Morning showers are a chance about the southern agricultural area. 22's the top for Port Lincoln, 25 for Clare and Kadina. Sunny and 28 degrees for Renmark. 26 is the top for Murray Bridge, partly cloudy, and 22 for Kingscote. 21 for Victor and Naracoorte, and looking cloudy in Mount Gambier. 19 is the forecast top there. In the city, dropping down to just 12 degrees overnight. 23 is the forecast top with some cloud clearing. Warming up on Tuesday before afternoon showers arrive, but I'll have more on that in the full forecast tonight. And that's all the news for now. Mike Smithson will have all the day's top stories at 6 o'clock. Bye for now.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.